A big thank you comes to you today from Dead Rabbit via Patreon for his long support of the channel. Koma versus Urtet, and yeah, we've got some decent ramp there as we hope to get into in this deck. We are on the play, so get down our turn 1 Soul Ring into the Lightning Greaves. Alright, and there we see a Mana Vault, so pretty unfortunate for our opponent. All he's managed to do is get down a tap land here. Could have given the Sakura Tribe Elder haste and whacked our opponent for 1, but I think our opponent's already fighting an uphill battle here. We are missing a colour at the moment at least, so yeah, it might be that we can't get the Koma down straight away. Alright, there is an Icy Tyrant of Gaia straight, so might as well get that down. And we'll throw the Lightning Greaves onto the Icy. We're not going to be able to get down our commander next turn now anyway, so we'll probably just untap the Mana Vault next turn. Hit our opponent for 5 and await the landfall. Mere Reservoir from our opponent. So like I said, not sure what we're going to be able to play this turn anyway, so Mana Vault being untapped during the upkeep. And there is a Mystic Confluence which we could have cast, but I'm not against going slow against my opponent anyway because it looks like the power levels might be a bit mixed matched and we did have a pretty stacked opening hand. Our opponent's got 2 artifact lands in play now, and there is the Urtet. Not going to bother countering it, we can always bounce it with the Mystic Confluence if we want to. And there is an Alloy Mirror, so we'll make a token. Alright, and there's the land we want, so we'll be able to draw a card with that. And we draw into Nezahal, Primal Tide. Yeah, we'll just go for the Koma here. We can tap down the Urtet during the upkeep so that that can't have its abilities activated. And we'll put the Lightning Greaves onto our commander. I'm going to swing in with both of these. I think they can gang up on the Icy if they want to. Just deciding to chump with the Mirror token. Alright, so at sacrifice, we will tap the Urtet down. Not sure the... Yeah, we can just bounce stuff with the Mystic Confluence anyway. I'm going to save the Koma's Coil. We'll let them activate the Urtet if they want to. Wouldn't have thought they would bother with only two creatures in play. Seeing a mere Battle Sphere, so that makes me more tempted to go for the bounce of the Urtet. So mere Battle Sphere comes in with a token from the Urtet and then 4 from its own ability. And then the Alloy Mirror is going to be untapped to the Urtet, so yeah, looking pretty good here. Take 1 damage to the Mana Vault, that will be first blood on us. And let's go for Cultivate. We'll get 2 lands out of our deck with this. We can just make a couple of blue mana, I think. Actually, I'll get the 2 snow lands just in case we draw into Field of the Dead, so one of those comes into play tapped. It will trigger the Icy, and that will draw us a card. Alright, and there's another land for us, so drop the snow-covered island. Alright, and there is a Mystic Sanctuary, which needs to see 3 islands, which we do have. Yes, we've just made our 3rd island, so we'll be able to grab something like the Mystic Confluence back if we want to. Right, so I think now we can go for tapping down the Urtet. They can do it in response is the problem, but so be it. If they do, it makes a game out of it. Alright, and they do not do it in response. I think I might have done there, but I don't know what our opponent's got in hand, of course. Oh, a Cavern of Souls. That's not something we want to see. Maybe should have countered the mere Battle Sphere if that was going to come down. Obviously we didn't know it though. A Mechanized Production. Alright. We can go for the Disallow onto this, which is probably a good idea. Mistake that I often make with this thing is that, and I don't make it anymore, but the way that I always think of it is that you need multiple copies of the enchanted creature in order to win the game, when in actual fact you just need 8 or more artifacts of the same name. So the mere tokens would obviously count towards that, even though it's enchanting the mere Battle Sphere, just something to bear in mind. The Urtet is going to untap, but still won't be able to activate its ability, thanks to the Koma. Now a Knighted Mirror, our opponent, making a Mirror token, and we could counter that because they've tapped down the Cavern of Souls, but actually, yeah, they put the Cavern of Souls mana into a non-mirror, which is funny. You'd think that they would have put it into this, but anyway, doesn't matter. Alright, another damage dealt to us. Let's go for the Forest first of all. We can make 2 lands this turn thanks to the Icy. Draws us into a Scavenging Ooze, which I'm not sure is going to be too useful to us this game. Wild Growth goes on to a forest. It pretty much pays for itself here. So let's go for the Mystic Confluence here. And it can be returning the Mere Battle Sphere and the Urtet back to hand, and we'll draw a card. And this is just to buy ourselves a bit of time. Draws us into a Preordained, so let's drop the Mystic Sanctuary. And we'll put Icy on the stack first. The Mystic Sanctuary can put the Mystic Confluence on top of our library. And then Icy obviously has us draw into that. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 mana held up. Maybe Preordain gets exiled to the Force of Will. So I'll just hold up the Mystic Confluence, I think. Let's swing in with some Koma's Coils. Maybe we can offer up the trades. Yeah, I think Icy is going to be too useful to us, unfortunately. We'll just go in with the Coils. And our opponent just takes 6 damage to that. Noteworthy that during the upkeep we could have tapped down the Cavern of Souls in order to have them not replay the Urtet, but yeah, it was more the Mere Battle Sphere I was worried about anyway, so not going for that here. Oh, and then a Distant Melody for our opponent, so about to refill the hand. Yeah, I think we definitely need to counter that one. So sacrifice the Preordain in order to do that. The Alloy Mere being untapped, so they've got 3 mana available, might be able to counter our Mystic Confluence. Okay, they've got some kind of Convoke spell here by the looks of it, so I'm glad I held on to the Mystic Confluence. And then deciding against it, so I'm not sure what the Convoke spell is there, maybe Chord of Calling, something like that. So let's draw a couple of cards and bounce the Urtet back. Maybe should hold on to the counter magic now that we know that they've got a Convoke spell, but we're just having some fun this game anyway. I was thinking it was going to be really one-sided, but our opponent's done pretty well. There is a Fierce Guardianship for a non-creature spell that we can play for free, so that's good. Alright, Song of the Dryads will be good against their Urtet as well. Turns it into a forest. See what we draw into with the Ancient Tomb. There is an Uro, which I would hope we will be able to get another land in to play with, so we'll try that. Wasn't escaped, of course, so Uro being sacrificed. And revealing a Whelming Wave is really good against our opponent. Might be able to win us the game here, actually. So we'll just go for the Whelming Wave now, won't waste any more of my opponent's time. And we'll swing in at our opponent, and that should be the game. Yeah, so our opponent did well there, considering our stupidly fast start, but luckily just managed to top deck into the board wipe against them. We'll play another one. Up against Joyra this time, and we've got a turn 2 Cultivate, so again we will keep that. So it's Waterlogged Grove, we will take First Blood to that, into Sol Ring, and just pray that our opponent doesn't have a Vandal Blast or anything, a means of removing the Sol Ring on turn 1. They just play an island, so it could be a Spell Pierce or something like that, but we'll hope not. Go for the Cultivate. Alright, we do manage to land that, that's really good, so we'll just go for the Snows. The island comes in tapped, and we can play the Forest. We want the Forest to come in untapped because drew into a Utopia Sprawl here, and that can only go onto a forest. So I'll play that out, and let's see. Yeah, I think we're fine to just make double green with that. So ending the turn with 6 mana available to us by turn 3. A Thaumatic Compass for our opponent. We could blow up with the Force of Vigour, but don't think I'm particularly worried about that. Alright, and there is a Field of the Dead, so we can go Tatyova into Field of the Dead. Obviously draws us a card and gains us a life with landfall. And there is a Tezzeret the Seeker, so we're quickly setting up our commander now. Probably go for a Jeweled Lotus with that. A Myriad Landscape for our opponents, pretty slow in 1v1. Do see a Spellskite from our opponent though. So yeah, it might be worth a Force of Vigour onto that. We draw an Offer You Can't Refuse. I think it's fine to go for the Tezzeret here though. So let's maybe go for the Mana Crypt as opposed to the Jeweled Lotus, because we'll have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we'll still have all the coloured mana we need, so yeah, we can go for the Mana Crypt. It's going to be more useful to us than Jeweled Lotus in the long run. And then that means that we can go for the Force of Vigour here now as well, so get rid of both of these things. Might be aggressive, but it doesn't look like our opponent's getting off to too great a start anyway. Swing in with Tatyova for 3 damage. Yeah, and our opponent decides to scoop it there, that's fair enough. We got off to another fast start. We'll play one more. Okay, starting off with some ramp again, no fast mana this time, up against Magda, which is likely to be a pretty fast deck, I would have thought. so it might be a more fair game. We're on the draw, getting to a Whelming Wave, which might be useful later on. So it's just Tropical Island and pass. And a turn 2 Magda from our opponent. Going to start making treasures with that. A Tireless Tracker, not drawing into the lands, so glad to see a 3 visits. You can get out a tap land with this. Jeska's Will from our opponent is 6 mana. Allows them into a Rapacious Dragon, which immediately puts a couple of treasure tokens into play. And then the Magda swinging in, making a treasure token. Okay, a Pact of Negation, going to be no good to us, so it looks like we're, yeah, going to be struggling this game, unfortunately. Our opponent ramping nicely ahead of us. Tireless Tracker into play. Could have held up the counter spell, but I'm hoping that Tireless Tracker is going to hold back the Magda. I will trade them for it. A Splinter Twin being thrown onto the dragon, so they'll be able to make more treasure tokens with that. And the 3/3 does have haste, so they can still swing in. Magda swinging in, so they can still make the 5th token. We'll block anyway and encourage them to activate the ability here. If we get into a land next turn, and they've sacrificed all the treasures already, I'd be tempted to go for the Whelming Wave. They do sack the tokens. Okay, and that allows them into the Immortal Sun. I thought they might go for a dragon there, but it is the Immortal Sun. Will be some card draw for them. And there's a Jeweled Lotus from our opponent, of course. Got it out of their hand, though. So Magda straight back into play, going to cheat the command attacks in a way. Alright, and there is some fast mana for us. So, yeah, let's go for... It's pretty slow, but let's go for the Whelming Wave. What we could do here, actually, is strip mine one of their lands. Yeah, let's go for Whelming Wave. And that will bounce everything. Gets rid of the Splinter Twin as well. And then we'll get rid of one of their red mana. Then we'll draw an additional card to the Immortal Sun until we can get rid of that thing. 7 cards in hand. Obviously decided against Pact of Negation because we've got rid of the strip mine, so we can't pay for it now. But they've gone for Ruby Medallion anyway. Oh, of course, that only costs 1 mana thanks to the Immortal Sun, so Magda from their hand will only be 1 mana. Instead deciding on Axguard Cavalry, so that can give their commander haste. Alright, but Song of the Dryads is really good against their commander, so let's take advantage and do some ramping here. Can't hold up the counter spell, but we can hold up Pact of Negation still. Yeah, let's just get down the 2 tap lands. No point holding up any mana if we can't go for the counter spell. Magda Brazen Outlaw into place, so let's try the Pact of Negation onto that. And if they manage to get rid of our mana crypt, then we lose the game here. Trying to save the Song of the Dryads for their Immortal Sun. There is a Hoarding Ogre, so trying to make some more treasures. Giving this thing haste, so it turns into a 4/4. And they roll a d20, end up making 2 treasure tokens. So we do have to pay the 5 mana into the Pact of Negation here. Alright, and there's a Cultivate, that's annoying, so... yeah, just have to take the turn off. It would have been good to get into a blue mana to hold up the counter spell. But we're struggling to get into lands this game, unfortunately. A Gilded Lotus from our opponent. And there is the dragon again, so looking to get down their commander once they've got enough treasures in play by the looks of it. So that does give us chance to go for the Cultivate, giving the dragon haste, so we're going to take 8 damage here. Total of 6 treasure tokens on our opponent's side of the field now. And we do manage to dodge the Lightning Bolt from the Mana Crypt, thankfully. Still no lands, there's a Lightning Greaves. So let's go for the Cultivate. Make our lands one way or another. Get a Forest into play tapped, and we will play an Island. Yeah, we're just holding up counter spells, so get down the Lightning Greaves, ready for our commander maybe. How many times can our opponent replay the commander is the question. Yeah, don't think we're winning this one anyway. Our opponent's been too fast for us, and I don't think we've had enough mana quickly enough, unfortunately, which is what we really want to be doing with such an expensive card like Koma. So our opponent continuing to draw additional cards from the Immortal Sun, and they make another land, so even if we counter their commander here, they'll be able to replay it again, but we'll swallow up some resources at least. But Magda only costing 2 mana is pretty difficult for us. Alright, a Skyline Despot is going to have our opponent become the Monarch. Going to be able to give that haste as well, so yeah, our opponent's likely got us. An Elixir of Immortality to shuffle things around. Taking a hit for 14. assuming that our opponent turns everything in sideways, which I assume he's going to. So we can survive a bolt from the Mana Crypt, but I don't see that we're going to be able to do too much of anything. Drawing to the Monarch at the end of the turn will end the turn with 3 cards in hand. Dodging the bolt again from Crypt. There's a mana drain, so we've got into a lot of counter magic, but yeah, not doing us too much good here, unfortunately. And we've got 2 flyers to deal with, although we could tap one out. Can't get down our Commander and Song of the Dryads, unfortunately. So we'll just have to play to our outs here, but our opponent's definitely got us, I think. We'll hope that our opponent's going to go for the Magda during the first main phase. We can flash this down during the beginning of combat if needs be. Obviously, if we'd managed to get our Koma down, then we could have tapped this, and these wouldn't have been as good in the red zone against Koma and Koma's coils. But our opponent's going wide on us regardless here. A Geo Surge. Our opponent's at the point where he'll just be able to hardcast things now. A Clock of Omens. He'll be able to tap down the treasure tokens and the static artifacts in order to be able to untap things like Gilded Lotus. So there we see the Magda again during the first main phase. We'll just go for the Frilled Mystic for the hell of it. Now our opponent's starting to make mana with the Gilded Lotus and the Clock of Omens. Okay, I've just checked the comment section and my opponent's being a dick, which seems to be par for the course for children on Magic Online. So Magda hitting the field this time. And there is a Captain Lannery Storm for more treasure tokens. Swings in with everything here, we just take the damage and go down. Yeah, we had some one-sided games and then had this game against my opponent, which has obviously been won quite convincingly here. So hopefully you all enjoyed the variation of games, and I will see you all in the next one. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.